Jocko, when does asking for input up and down the chain of command, as discussed in episode 26, hinder the leader's ability to make timely decisions, especially when gaining the initiative is critical?
So, yeah, this is a question that I asked, and I got an answer for you, TJ, who asked the question. When you are... Okay, so the situation is a little bit different. If you're in an administrative situation or you're in a planning situation, meaning neither one of those are restricted by time, then of course, get the input. And by getting the input, of course, first of all, your plan becomes better because you're getting input from people. You have more brains working on it. You also, when you get input, you're building a little bit of a relationship. You're building a relationship. The relationship, what are relationships are based on trust. And so trust is a requirement inside of leadership. So that's what you want to do. If you have the time and it's an administrative scenario or you got the time to plan, then just go ahead and take the time to plan. Take the time to get the input. Now, there are situations where you don't have time to discuss or debate a decision. And there's or times where maybe you have time, but it's going to affect or impact the ability to make an immediate execution, which is what oftentimes you're looking for. You want to gain the initiative, and sometimes gaining the initiative takes precedence over gaining consensus from everybody. And it takes precedence over coming up with the best possible plan, because we want to do the best possible plan, but sometimes fast action is going to take precedence over that. And Patton said something along the lines of a good plan executed now is better than a perfect plan executed sometime next week. So what happens is in those situations, you're going to have to make the call. You're going to have to be decisive. You're going to have to make the decision. And because you've built trust with your team, then when you do need to make that call, it won't be that big of a deal and people will execute it. Now, I've said this before, Leif and I were having a conversation with some of our clients and as they were kind of talking about the same thing about, giving people orders and they're not listening and what do you do? And I asked Leif in the middle of the thing, I said, hey, Leif, how many times did I tell you, hey, Leif, this is a command. I'm telling you to do it. I'm ordering you because you work for me. Do it now. And Leif was like, 0 times. Now, that being said, although I never in an administrative or in a planning situation ever said, Leif, you will do this now, I'm ordering you because I am the senior man in the situation. In tactical situations, where we were in the field and we had to do things, we had to make things happen quickly, I definitely said things to him and said, hey, go do this now. Like I would have said, take that building down over there, or hey, move the Humvees over here, or whatever. And he would do it because he knew we didn't have time to discuss it. Now, what's interesting about that is it wasn't just me that was telling Leif. Sometimes Leif was saying to me, Jocko, get the Humvees moved over here, or Jocko, you need to get the element up on that high ground over there. And you know what? We had trust, we had a relationship, and I did it. Even though I was senior to him. We didn't care who was senior to who. That wasn't the important thing. He saw something. He was making a tactical decision. I knew he wouldn't be telling me to do something unless he needed to have it happen. Right. So if he told me, hey, move the vehicles down the road, I'd be like, Roger, moving. And that doesn't mean that if you take us to a situation where we have the time to debate, like he would call me up and say, hey, Jocko, I think it might be a good idea to push the vehicles down the road. Oh, why? What's going on? Well, we're starting to see some movement out in the hinterland over there. Okay, got it. I'm going to track it. I'm going to push 2 vehicles down there. Cool. Right? That's a normal conversation. But if all of a sudden there was gunfire and Leif was like, push the vehicles down the road to the north, I'd say, doing it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there are definitely times where you don't want to sit around and debate and figure out what the best plan is. There's a time where the leader or the follower or the person that has the most vision of the situation needs to make a call and make it happen. So again, the better relationship you have, the the easier this is going to be, because you're going to have that little mental unification of the commander's intent and of the task and purpose, and you're going to be able to be thinking along the same path. And when you're doing that, everything gets a hell of a lot easier. So, when you got the time to take the input, have the debate, have the discussion. That builds the relationship so that when it comes time to be decisive and give a command, you can give it and people react up and down the chain of command without a bunch of hesitation. And you can go back later and say, hey, here's what I was talking about. Here's why we needed to do this. And that's it.
Yeah, man. That trust is so critical, yeah? Like, so are you saying build that relationship or whatever? And even at the time where it seems valuable, sure, trust, but it's times like this where that trust is going to shine even more, when you can just say to do it. You don't even have to say why to do it because you just know. You know it's a good reason.
Yeah, and while we're on this subject, I will tell you this as well. Because the more time you spend, if I was always giving orders to everyone and not actually discussing, I was just ordering everyone to do everything all the time, you're burning up your leadership capital.
Yeah.
Like when when we're out in the field, and when I was out in the field with the platoons, I seldom gave an order over the radio because I wanted my guys to lead. When I did say something, the guys would just do it because it was me. And they knew that if I was saying it was something that had to be done.
Right.
So if I said, hey, everyone get in building 34 now, guys would be like, hey, we're going to 34, everyone would get there.
Right.
Whereas if I was trying to give orders the whole time on every operation, on every little thing and every little detail, eventually you're just the boy that cried wolf.
Yeah.
And you want to give every order and people stop listening to you.
Yeah.
Even though we're in the military and even though there's a chain of command and even though they're supposed to listen to me, you abuse that thing and people will stop listening to you. Yeah. The more you talk, the less people listen. And the less you talk, the more people listen. So I reserved my actual directives in the field to be the most important things that I needed. And if I didn't have to say it, I wouldn't. I would let my troopers lead, let my subordinate leadership lead. I wanted them to.
Yeah. Quality, not quantity?
Affirmative.